in his ability to stave off any pressure here. As you can see, he only has one bunker, but he is reinforcing with Marines. Now, you know, it's 1-gate expand into 4-gate pressure is a very, very solid build, and a lot of times that 4-gate pressure can set the Terran back enough to give Protoss that advantage where they have some time to go ahead and make sure their upgrades are set, get an extra round of warp-ins, and that's really what makes the mid to late game so difficult for Terran to deal with right now. So I think Pokebunny really needs to, where he needs to go from here is, you know, he has to establish a force that's large enough that's going to go ahead where he's not going to have to, you know, put everything on the line. Again, the third game, though, what concerns me, Quinn, look, Stim is only a quarter of the way done here.
Yeah. And this is going to be a really late Stim. I mean, his Medivacs actually should be popping out a little bit before Stim finishes. And I mean, when we talk about, you know, times for the Terran to be aggressive on the map, you know, there's that early timing before Warp Gate is finished, or as Warp Gate is just finishing up. That is a good timing to be active on the map as a Terran player. And, you know, you really kind of have to give up that map control unless you're doing something very aggressive with, like, forward bunkers until you have Medivacs. But here we go. iS.Axslav doing this push once again. The SCV is being pulled, but they're not going to get there in time, and the bunker will fall. Now, a lot of these force fields are now helping out the Terran more than they are helping the Protoss, but I mean, the Zealot count here for iS.Axslav is pretty high. He's still got Sentries and Stalkers. He can still force field, and he's killed off some SCVs at the very least, as well as a lot of combat units.
Yeah, absolutely, Gwen, and you can see right now pretty much just owning his expansion. And one thing to note here is the Sentry count. He still has 5 Sentries. You need to target those down because force fields are amazingly good. And, you know, that needs to be your target priority, is to try to focus down. They cost a lot of gas and a lot of time. And look at this, adding more Sentries in, actually, so.
I mean, and this is actually just such great play out of iS.Axslav. Basically, what he's saying is I'm not going to let you move down your ramp until I've killed off everything I can at the bottom. And then I can just kind of pull back safely. I've denied so much mining time, killed off some supply depots. And, I mean, this puts iS.Axslav in a great position.
Essentially, iS.Axslav illustrating exactly what we were talking about earlier with this metagame, and this push allows him to start doing things like being able to invest in double forge upgrades. Also, you can see he's going to be adding the Robo facility and has that other forge queued up and ready to go now. So that really did everything it was intended to do. And as I said, 1-gate expand into 4-gate pressure. And actually, he did that off, I believe.
Yeah, that was 3 gates.
Did off 3 gates. So in terms of iS.Axslav, it was 1-gate expand into 3-gate pressure. Very, very potent. Very potent.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely timings, especially with, you know, like you pointed out, the much later Stim out of Pokebunny. But now, look at this. Pokebunny has his Medivacs. It's his turn to be a little bit aggressive. And this is kind of where Terran starts getting scary once you get into that mid-game. Now, iS.Axslav, he might not be as worried because of the amount of damage he did with that push, but Medivacs allow you to do things like drop. They allow you to do a lot of multi-prong aggression. And splitting up the units as a Protoss player is so difficult.
Yeah, this is a good idea, too, out of Pokebunny. This is the way he needs to respond to this. You can see early Stim going to come down, going to try to get a free pylon. Guardian Shield pops, and here we go. It's going to go ahead and use those force fields so those Zealots can get up close and personal, Blink.
Yeah, at the same time, we do have the drop in the main, as that drop that was almost cleaned up down at the front gets, and, you know, Pokebunny is targeting down probes. There are units, they are coming, and this is when, I mean, Pokebunny loads up, runs away. Great response out of him. There's no blink, because there's no, the Twilight Council is down, but no blink quite yet, so he can't really chase that down, and that was exactly what Pokebunny needed to do. If he just continually puts on drop pressure while expanding, while teching behind this, getting the unit composition that he wants, he'll have a very powerful mid-game indeed, and that will just kind of slow the Protoss down from getting those 6 gases up.
Yeah, I mean, one great way to go ahead and circumvent the front of this choke here is by the natural of the Protoss is to go ahead and drop into the main. Now, one thing Pokebunny needs to be aware of, though, is, you know, iS.Axslav is going to be ready for it next time. That's the thing about iS.Axslav. A very smart player, great game sense. So but however, you know, I have to say he has no units up there, but we do see another engagement going down here. Force field going down, and Pokebunny choosing to go ahead and engage after choke.
And Pokebunny actually split his units really well with those force fields and got an amazing concave, and I don't think iS.Axslav did as much damage as he was hoping to that army there. Now, of course, he is falling with an Observer. He does have Colossus on the way with that Colossus range, and he's taking a third, so he's gonna be on those 6 gas once it finishes up. Pokebunny has got a third going down in his main as well. He'll just float that on down. But let's take a look at the upgrades. I mean, Pokebunny is at 1-0 to the almost 2 armor. Or iS.Axslav rather at 1-1. He's about to be at 1-2, which, you know, definitely gives the advantage to him. And another engagement starting to happen.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we were talking about earlier, is the advantages of Protoss Chrono Boost into that mid game and off the back of that initial 3-gate pressure. So essentially, this used to be considered a fast third, and I don't even know if we can say that anymore nowadays.
No.
I'd like to see Pokebunny get a little more active, start to find, you know, look for proxy pylons and take him out. As you can see, his army is so close. Can you see that? He can. So, you know, start getting active. Another thing, you'll see a lot of Korean Terran dude take 1 Marine and just march him around the map. Queue him up around the map, and you'd be surprised how many proxy pylons you'll find, if there's a ninja base, and it only takes a second to do so. I'd also like to see Pokebunny start to get a little more active in areas around the map where his army isn't.
I definitely agree. And I mean, one thing to note about Pokebunny's army, he did manage to get 6 medevacs out, and he hasn't lost any before he had to start Viking production. And what that means, of course, guys, is we'll kind of postulate it this way. There is, of course, this starport at the back of Pokebunny's base. They can make 2 units at a time. They have to be medevacs or Vikings. Now, with the Colossus that are coming out, he's forced to make Vikings. If you don't make Vikings, the Colossus completely destroy your ground army and you die. However, not having enough medevacs means that you can't really stim a whole lot and you don't have as much drop harass potential. So it's kind of a conundrum for the Terran player to decide whether they're going to make Vikings or those medevacs, and being able to get 6 Vikings out before you have to start that medevac, or the 6 medevacs before you have to start the Viking production is pretty great for Pokebunny.
Absolutely. And one of the good things about being Protoss, though, is when you start to force them to go ahead and make those Vikings, you can always go ahead and research charge, as we knew that was going to come, and go for the charge lot Archon.
Oh, yeah.
Which consists of High Templar, which means you have Storm and feedback. So essentially, even if they destroy your Colossus, you've got a fallback. And if they overmake Vikings and you get into a lot of heated engagements where they actually have to land the Vikings, you can actually switch back into Colossus. Right. So we see that so very often now. And again, it's a very, very difficult thing to deal with. One of the things I have to go back to, though, for Terran that I have seen work so very well is you know, the use of Ghost, and it does raise the skill cap. You know, it's very, very difficult to pull off heavy Ghost play with EMP. A lot of Protoss are like, well, you know, it's just going to EMP my army, but you know, when you're dealing with Colossus, hold that thought when you can see.
Moving on into the third. Yeah, he does have 2 Archons in that composition. There are some Vikings out. Will he be able to kill off the Colossus before the majority of the damage is done to his army? A great lift up by Pokebunny, saving a ton of those units. And the Vikings really have not taken out all these Colossus as fast as they could. There is still one up. Tons of SCVs going down. The third will probably fall. Yes, it looks like it definitely will go down, burning down now. And the army of Pokebunny copying these force fields, unable to do anything about it.
You know, they must be really depressed sitting back there knowing that they can't get into the fight. They're only minutes away. So, as we can see right now, going to go ahead and start to make those Archons. Really just a fascinating unit, actually. And hold that thought, as the Vikings here are going to may actually get that Colossus.
Yeah, I mean, and that would be a great pick. That Colossus, even though there's only 1 with that +2 attack, he does so much splash damage. The Archons and the rest of the force follow-up, and the Colossus does go down. iS.Axslav retreating force fields off so the fight cannot chase him back home as he warps in a ton more Zealots. That is so many Zealots.
Yeah, Charge Lot Archon, of course, very potent, and you can see right now, this is where Pokebunny needs to be careful because his whole entire army isn't together now. iS.Axslav's going to go ahead and enjoy his supply lead right now, and here we go. I mean, just tailing this army all the way home, and look at this when like a lot of the bio of the Terran is into the yellow, some into the red, so Pokebunny is in a lot of trouble right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, and these Zealots with that 3 armor, or I guess 4 armor because they are at +3 armor, they are so hard to kill. Marines do so little damage against them. Even with 2 upgrade levels like Pokebunny has, that reduces, of course, the Marine doing 8 damage at +2. Reduces it down to just doing 4 damage, so it cuts the damage of the Marine in half.
Yeah, and there's a weird time in these matches where Terran and Protoss have to best guess where each other's army is, especially if Terran go ahead and snipe the Observer, but hold that thought. As you can see, Axslav now moving in close to max, just too much of a supply lead, I think, win for this. To be honest, I don't see how Pokebunny gets back into this.
Yeah, a ton of SCVs getting picked off here at the third. At the same time, there was a Warp Prism drop at the natural. Warp Prism did get picked off by those Vikings, but, I mean, 149 supply to 189 supply in favor of Axslav. Axslav taking a 4th base. He's already been on his 6th gas for, a good, I would say about 7 or 8 minutes at this point. He is in such a commanding position.
Yeah, Mobius Reactor about to finish, so that means, of course, Ghost Storm just now getting research, but you can see also Protoss Shields level 2. Once Protoss get to that shield upgrade, oh boy. I mean, it's one of those things where they are looking really solid, so 3-3 with +1 shield on the way. Again, off the back of that initial aggression.
And we do see Axslav blinks forward, picks off the remainder of those Vikings. 2 more finally joining the fray. He does pick off an Observer, and that's a nice snipe for him, but this Protoss ball looks so scary right now. I mean, 4 Archons. He's got 3 Colossus in that mix, a whole bunch of Stalkers, and just so many Zealots. Taking a look at the unit counting station, that is actually 26 Zealots.
And, that's what I was saying earlier, was the fact that there's a weird area of this matchup where the Protoss army's out on the map, the Terran army's out on the map, but you don't know essentially where each other is. So you've got to go with best guess scenario. Here we go. Going to move in. Archon's in the front. We're trapping some of the Zealots behind, but truthfully, Axslav could afford to be sloppy in this battle.
Yep. Force fields going down to trap a lot of those units. The Zealots can get surface area, but now the force field's actually hurting the Protoss army more than they are helping it. I don't think it matters, though, with the Colossus in back doing huge damage to that Terran Bio, but hold on! The Bio sniping forward, sniping off 2 of the Colossus. The 3rd will go down as well, but it does not matter. The Bio forces of Axslav, the gateway units of Axslav pushing back Pokebunny almost to his natural expansion, and this 3rd is going to die for what seems like the 4th or 5th time this game, and the GG out of Pokebunny.
GG, well played. Very manner. Nice to see out of these young bucks. Axslav going to take it there, Gwen, but we have to say, well fought.
Oh, yeah.
Was able to take the game off of Axslav there. Axslav just getting better and better. And Pokebunny, let's not forget, a younger player, so he's got a lot of time for growth, whereas Axslav would be on the, he's getting up there in terms of esports in the mid-20s, mid to late 20s there. So one of those things, we're making it happen right now, one game at a time. Yes, I'm calling him an old man, essentially, because he's close to my age. I can do that. Pokebunny, though, Pokebunny, Leenock, as well as Vile Illusion, all young, great players.
And isn't there another, like, a 14-year-old who just made it into Codex?
Yeah. There is.
Maru Prime.
So quite amazing, and making me feel ever older.
Yep. Myself as well. But guys, the next match coming up will be itsGosu.Boyo versus Gosu.Pokebunny. So Pokebunny playing once again. Actually, I'm sorry. This looks like a incorrect graphic. We're actually going to have Boyo versus Snute coming up in just a moment. So we will have to jump to that as soon as we can. I apologize for that graphic being wrong. To quote Sundance, that guy will get fired, and I get it. And with that, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. I am Gwen, with me is Tumba. And in this break time, not only watch the wonderful commercial, but please go follow One Nation of Gamers on Twitter and on Facebook. That is ONOG_esports on Twitter and Facebook/Facebook.com/One Nation of Gamers.